Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Carnal Conservative channel. You have not made a mistake. You are tuned in at the right time and the right place. Who is this, you say? Why, this is Mrs. Carnal. I've officially hijacked the airwaves here. Mr. Carnal is here. Go ahead, say something.
Help, rescue, send help. We're just kidding. We're just kidding.
And you will be hearing
Mostly.
right. And actually, you'll be hearing from us pretty often now, pretty regularly, I should say, pretty regularly. And what this is a new direction that we are taking. We're going to be reading scriptures, and you want to know the wonderful thing about it is that as you take this journey with us, we are all going to be learning together, because I haven't officially read all the books front to back. And so, of course, there's going to be questions, confusion, a lot of clarity, I think. And you're going to be joining us on that journey. And that's going to be absolutely wonderful, because we are excited to hear your takes and, what you have to say. And to see how we can exchange information and get all that. So that's going to be wonderful.
Well, of course, Mr. Carnal will be assisting with this journey, but the reason we're doing this is because Mrs. Carnal actually had a request for this.
I did actually. I have a sister, and we are she's one of my best friends, and she was telling me, she actually said, you should totally devote a channel to this, because when we start dropping off into these conversations, we get into these deep conversations, and she says that she finds them fascinating, she finds them interesting. And I thought, hey, why not? But what we wanted to do first was, you already know Mr. Carnal.
They do somewhat. They do know me on a rather shall we say, intimate level?
Mm-hmm.
Sort
You're
of,
very
kind of.
familiar with Mr. Carnal already. And this is true to say hello and introduce myself to you guys. Because I think it's just as important to show that, not only anybody can do this, anybody, whether you, whatever your beliefs are, whatever they are, whether you believe, whether you don't, or whatever, especially for atheists, I think.
Well, especially, yeah, because there's so many misconceptions and
Yes.
stereotypes and just all on out autistic wrongness in the atheist community around what scriptures say and what they
Autism is
mean.
okay, just so you guys know. It's okay to be autistic.
Down with the Coomers. Down with the Coomers.
Autism is okay. What it is, it's we notice. I notice, anyways, when people seem to take pieces of scripture for the sake of an argument, or take things out of context. And I think it's really important to put these things into context. I mean, we've all been guilty of it, right? When we point and go, oh, judge not, lest ye be judged. And really, the whole point of that is it doesn't mean what you think it means, And so it's real easy to...
Or it only means what they want it to mean, right, at this point in time.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it's really important, I think, and we're all going to take this journey together in really understanding, all the people behind these writings, these, texts. They are used for a variety of things. It's funny, I've heard some people who say, well, I think it's all fiction. And I'm like, well, from an archaeological standpoint, it's used a lot, right?
Yeah, it's obviously the carbon dating is a little blurry for some events and some of the figures in scripture, but yeah, there are many cases in which I actually ran into this a few days ago, where I did a video on King Josiah, and people were like, well, there's no archaeological evidence. I'm like, yeah, but we have the evidence for his descendants.
Right. right. And so, and I ran into somebody else who said, well, you know, I don't believe in. Actually, it's somebody very close to me. He's like, oh, I don't believe in Jesus. I was like, oh, that's cool, But we were still talking about, the Bible and pieces of the Bible, and she said, um, or I said, oh, okay, so you don't believe he was the Messiah. And she was like, well, no, no, not just that. I just don't believe he existed. I was like, oh, okay, you don't believe he existed. That was interesting to me too, because he's mentioned in the Quran, from what I'm told. Now we're not going to go into that because I don't know anything about the Quran, but other
Let's just say there's significant overlap in the Abrahamic religions.
right. And the thing is that there are other religions whose ancient texts acknowledge his
Oh
existence.
my gosh, the influence of Father Abraham is significant to say the least. He was a pioneer in many, many respects.
Right, exactly. And so, there's a lot of, these cross references from other ancient texts to me, which confirm, or not just, they point to the existence of Jesus. But, anyways, that's for another time. I am a Texafornian. I
In other words, she converted down over to the righteous land.
well, since childhood, I've been back and forth, and so I have the best of both cultures. It's
Yeah,
absolutely wonderful.
it is my great shame to admit that I am far more degenerate. I spent far more time in California than I should have. In fact, it was Miss Carnal who dragged me from California to live in Texas.
Yeah,
So, I she is.
you fell to my wily charms.
I was gonna go more of a celestial route, but okay, let's stay on theme with the channel, babe.
And this is pretty celestial. Come on now.
Oh gosh.
Anyways, so I've got the best of both worlds here, and
In
and
other words, there is no California here.
you'll hear me drop into several different accents on any given day or at any given time, so don't be concerned about that. I don't have I'm not having a stroke. It's just how it is. um
And if she does, it will be recorded for posterity.
there we go. So I'm a middle-aged mom of four. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I want
As you read the scriptures, you start to understand as you try to understand the relationship and nature of God, you begin to realize that your parental relationship is relevant to your scripture study.
it is. And so, I also want to show too that, I'm a crazy busy mom of four. But I find time, sometimes inconsistently, but if I can do it, you can do it, you
And
know.
I will be dragging her to help me make content.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm okay with that. But this is not. We want to talk about what this is, and we want to talk about what it's not. This is, a scripture study. It's going to be diving into the Old Testament, the New Testament, and some other tomes from our faith. You don't, if you're wondering, what's in there, what do you guys believe, and that kind of thing. We'll get into that. And so you'll get to see that, but that'll be much later because right now we're in one of my favorites. We're in the Old Testament. We're going to start at the beginning. We're going to start from Genesis. This is not going to be a read it word for word and bore you to death. Hopefully not. Hopefully we
No,
can keep it entertaining
we're
enough.
gonna go through the Bible. Hopefully it'll be more topical and helpful for those of you as we go along through the scriptures. Um, but we're gonna play it by ear and see what direction we go with each with where we happen to be in the scriptures at that time.
Right. And I am excited to hear other people's, all of your opinions and exchange of feedback, because I'll tell you, there has been more than one occasion where people will bring something up and I'll be like, oh.
Well, and I'm not sure if I've told Miss Carnal, but I've done other videos. I did videos on, as I said before, King Josiah.
Mm-hmm.
I also did other videos on the Christian response to grooming gangs,
Interesting.
which I went over a couple of chapters in Judges to really flush out what the proper response to grooming gangs should be, in my obviously lay opinion.
Right. And well, and this is, let's talk about what this is not. This is not an attempt to, to, you know, convert you to our faith. It'd be great if you did, but if you don't, that's okay.
Just remember, degenerates belong on a cross.
um, this is not, we are not official spokespeople for our faith. We are, we try very hard to be, at least I try very hard to be good examples, and to give you an idea as to, you know, how do I put this?
It's a ridiculous disclaimer that we don't represent every single member of our faith,
Oh, well
but
done.
the fact
Well
is, we
done.
have to say it.
Well done. Well done. I approve. High five. Yeah, all right.
Whatever. It's just something that you just gotta throw out there. There are several Latter-day Saints who do all kinds of stupid and frivolous things, and they all have different temperaments and habits.
Right.
So,
And we're kind of, you know, in our own, I'm a convert. I'm not what you call a lifer, right?
well, and I am a lifer, but both of my parents were converts. So I grew up relatively outside of what you would call the culture of the church. I was in an environment where I was more than able to choose for myself whether I was going to choose doctrine or culture. And that will be another thing that we go through as we read the scriptures. The common need for the people in the scriptures to choose and have to battle between doctrine and culture.
Well, and I, and that's the great thing is that if you're wondering what this is all about, you get the perspective. You get a few different perspectives here, because if you talk to a lifer, it's a much different perspective than talking to somebody like me, who actually converted and had a different life before my conversion. um you know it you there is a vast and stark difference. I could be talking to somebody and say, hey, oh yeah, I know what that tastes like, when referring to a wine, and some people might kind of be like, and I'm like,
You know
yes,
what wine tastes
yes,
like?
I
How
used to
dare
have
you,
a different life. Can you believe
heathen?
that? Yeah, exactly. And so I know I had a very different life, before. And I can share my testimony or whatever with you guys later, so you can understand why I made the choices I did, or how I came to be where I'm at. But that's for another time. Because that's some deep stuff right there.
And I think we're gonna end it there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to catch you in the next video back at the beginning.
Yes, we're excited to start this journey with you guys, and to you'll hear us ponder, you'll hear us wonder, and you'll hear us. We'll all learn together.
Indeed. And that is a child knocking on our door. Stay carnal, guys. Bye.
Bye.